622, Big 550 KTRS. Brad Garrett is with us, ABC News crime and terrorism analyst. Good morning, Brad Garrett.
Good morning, McGraw.
Good to hear your voice. Let's talk about surface-to-air missiles and something we never used to ask and or worry about, but I guess now with the things going on in the world, we have to ask, how risky is it, and what are the odds of somebody being taken out by a surface-to-air missile?
I think from a U.S. standpoint, it's not likely. I think people, as they have scheduled their travels for the summer and the fall, should continue on. Now, you maybe need to think about, if you're going to certain places in North Africa or other locations, be aware of what's going on the ground in those locations. But in McGraw, the big concern, and it always has been, are shoulder-fired surface-to-air missiles, which planes taking off and landing are extremely vulnerable. So as long as you're going places that have reasonable security, and some of them even have countermeasures, I think you'll be fine. Yeah.
One of the things about this Malaysian airliner that was down, that came out early, was they knew something, because it was 35,000 feet in the air, and it wasn't taking off or landing. So those shoulder fire rockets don't work when it's 35,000 feet in the air.
Well, also keep in mind that because we and other allies have so much coverage of that part of the world with satellites, they knew in a millisecond that it was a Buk-type weapon that fired. They could tell by the trajectory of the round what it was. So that was like a no-brainer. They knew where it came from within minutes. And clearly the Russians have their fingerprints all over it.
Yeah, the other thing we were talking about yesterday was they have voice recognition, that they know it was some of the guerrillas, some of the things that the CIA, quote unquote, leaked out over what they know was an extraordinary list of items.
It's right. It's quite extensive, and I think that was clearly done on purpose, because they want us to know, and rightly so, look, this is something that was provided, trained by, and encouraged by the Russians. Right. I'm not suggesting the Russians encouraged they shoot down a Malaysian commercial flight, because that was a mistake. They weren't shooting at that. They were shooting at a Ukrainian military transport plane. But be that what it may, I mean, it's one of those things when you allow people that have this level of extremist thinking with that lethal type weapon, you're really playing with fire.
Yeah. Hey, Brad, while we have you here, you brought up something that's quite interesting. They've analyzed some stats of law enforcement officers in the line of duty. What are some of those numbers?
Well, in the first 6 months of 2014, the number of deaths have increased by 30+%. Now, McGraw, if you ask me why that is the case, I can't give you an answer, because they don't really know. I mean, the leading cause of death for law enforcement are car crashes, being hit by cars as they're standing outside, and obviously being shot. That's the three categories. But if you look at the breakdown for the 6 months, clearly firearms-related deaths have jumped 65% from January to July. That is a troubling number. But again, I don't know what we can account for as to what caused it.
You're telling us that as of this year, police officers killed in the line of duty is up 31%?
Yes.
Wow.
In other words, I'll give you an idea. Last year, in the first 6 months of the year, there were like 55 officers killed. So far this year, there's been 71 killed. And I will tell you, McGraw, if you look at the charts like I do from year to year, they do jump around. The average is 150, but it's gone up to 200. A couple times it's even gone over 200. And you can't really attribute to anything other than these things unfortunately just happen. It's a dangerous business, and you get yourself in situations because you have to that put you in harm's way.
ABC News crime and terrorism analyst Brad Garrett. Brad, be safe. Thanks for checking in.
Take care, McGraw.
628, Big 550.